tween media doesn't exist anymore.
There was a dissolution of the preteen.
Kids today seem like they're skipping their preteen and teenage years.
Yes. Gen Z might be the last generation that actually had a childhood. There's no more commercials with the shared jingles that we all know and love. No dedicated teen clothing stores or magazines. Disney Channel, hell, Cartoon Network. Everything's just different and or gone. And it's like now these kids are going straight from elementary school into just like trying to be an influencer or a streamer, all the skincare routines, and trying their hardest to get like millions of followers. When I know for myself and a lot of viewers out there we did have like a childhood into like this preteen, tween phase, teenagers, then like young adult, then adult. But it seems like that's all fading away, and that's exactly what this video is talking about. And if you like this type of content, just like video, essay, commentary style, be sure to subscribe. There's tons of more content like this, but let's dive right into this topic.
Somebody please, if you know the answer, please give me the answer. Who is the it girls on Disney Channel right now?
There are none because tween media doesn't exist anymore. There used to be a time where 10 to 15-year-olds had their own world. They had their own movies.
So good. All the Disney Channel originals, those slapped. The collabs like the Sweet Life on Deck, Wizard of Waverly Place, Hannah Montana special, that whole like 3-part series, amazing. That was lit. The website, this video's gonna be fun. There's so much nostalgia packed into this video, and it's sad that the kids nowadays growing up, Gen Alpha, they don't have that.
All these forms of media were made with the tween demographic in mind. Shows like Hannah Montana, That's So Raven,
Yes.
Zoe 101, iCarly. It was a sweet spot for an otherwise awkward stage of life. But now it seems as soon as you turn 12, you are automatically switched to adult content. Kids watch streamers, social influencers, Love Island. And now networks like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon, they aren't producing the next It Girls because the It Girls of today are not choosing to go after that sort of fame.
Yeah, they're not going that route of trying to be a child actor and then grow up and be on these movies. No, they're just going straight to influencing, which that does open a conversation, which I'm sure we'll get into later, with what's the difference between a Hannah Montana, a Zendaya, and like a kid influencer or like a TikToker that's like 13, 14. You have one that's always like Hannah Montana, Zendaya, always in the tween magazines, always on the red carpet, always very public facing. So what is that difference between someone who is 12 that's growing up and blowing up on TikTok? It's weird, but it does bring up an interesting conversation on what like the it girls are. Like, will there ever be another Hannah Montana? Will there ever be another Zendaya? That's what I think this video is getting to, referring like an it girl. And I genuinely don't know, and I don't see how that can even be produced in this day and age with the current form of media and how all the shows are gone. Because now when you do think about an it girl that's not a Hannah Montana or a Zendaya that came with a more public route, what you think of is the Emma Chamberlains, the Quinlan Blackwells, the people who are on Vine and young YouTubers that grew up and now they're famous. And that low-key makes sense too, and how there were so many young girls and young guys who trying to be a Disney star, and now they're like, F that, I'm gonna just go to social media because that's where the new stars and the new it girls are coming from. But because social media, it's not contained like the tween phase was, like we had our own websites, we had, it was just a different time. I sound old as hell and I'm only 30. It was just a different time growing up. But with social media, you have the whole world at your fingertips. When yes, we did have AOL and Yahoo Messenger. We did have like Neopets. We had a Club Penguin. We had spaces that were online, but it wasn't like a TikTok or Snapchat or Instagram where it's like the whole world. Things are just different now. I mean, hell, when Instagram first was created, it was for your friends. And now I go on Instagram and I'm seeing a random reel from someone made across the world. You know, it is a different time. And I feel for all these teenagers and these tweens, everybody between like, let's just say 10 and 14, that really don't have anything anymore. They're just exposed to the internet at a drop of a dime.
There was a dissolution of the preteen, and I feel like that's why we have all the issues that we do with like young kids now. Like I just saw that Claire's is filing bankruptcy for the second time, right? So like they're now starting to have liquidation sales and they're probably gonna close. And then where are the preteen girls gonna go, right? Because if there's no Claire's, there's no Limited 2, there's no Justice. It's like
now It's just, well, there's always been like Abercrombie and Fitch, but now it's like H&M Kids, Zara Kids. Everything's shared. There's no dedicated, this is only for people aged 10 to 14, especially not as much as it used to be. It feels like now there's just it's like you're either a little girl or you're just like trying to look grown. Like all these teenagers, they look grown. It's kind of crazy.
Of course, they end up wandering into Akira in the mall if they can't wander into, I don't know, the Disney store, because we don't have those in malls for real nowhere either. Yeah, they want to go to Sephora now. Yeah, they want to go to Ulta, because their version of that doesn't exist anymore. We're like watching these spaces for kids to be kids disappear, and then people are like, oh my God, kids act so grown, kids act so grown. They all up on the internet with us. And it's like, yes, of course, monitor your kids, right? But they're also losing like physical spaces for them to like shop, find new interests. They're losing physical spaces for that, but they're also losing like the online spaces for that too. Like I grew up very online, loved the internet, but there were like a million different sites that I used to like hang out on. I was on Barbie Girl, I was on Stardoll, I was on Pop Tropica, I was on Club Penguin, I was on Mills.
Penguin. I mean, IMVU, that was a little sketchy. IMVU, and I guess the modern day now would be stuff like through the VR chat and people need to stay off that. But it's even then, back then, we were online, but it was contained. Like I was on MySpace, but it was contained to like my friend group, and I randomly look at the music pages. That's where I found like Jeffree Star, 303, Broken Side, Justin Bieber, all that. But it was very much like just safe, I guess.
Cool math games, right? Nickelodeon, Disney, like there were
cool math games. Oh my gosh, Cool Math Games was lit. I think I like the one, I'm gonna try to find it and put a clip in. It was like a block, almost like the big ass Thwomp. I think his name's Thwomp in Super Mario. But it was like a block, and you had to like do it a certain amount of ways. The Impossible Game, this is throwing me back. Like there were a million sites that like I could get on to like go, you know, be a kid on the internet. But I don't think there's as much of that now. At least it's not as popular. I think the most popular now is probably Roblox. I don't even know exactly what Roblox is, but I know kids love it. And other than that, and even then, there's a lot of problems within Roblox itself. Roblox, like I said, IMVU was a little weird. I know VR chat has had a lot of problems with just the bad stuff. That's a problem too, and I'll have to look it up, but I feel like that wasn't that big of an issue on the other kid sites like the Neopets, the Club Penguins, and the sites that she named too.
Same sites as us. They watching the same stuff as us. They're watching streamers, they're watching TikTokers, they're watching influencers. Of course they don't seem like kids anymore, right? Like there's not a lot of space or room for them to be kids.
That's valid. There isn't a lot of space. There's spaces for them to go and hang out, but as far as the internet landscape, there's nowhere that just makes sense that's just for them, because everything's changed with us. Like I said, Snapchat was just your friends. Instagram was just your friends. It was just pictures. Facebook, just your friends. Now, it's like the whole world is right there front and center, and that's not what it used to be. And that's really got me thinking about how when I say we, I'm referring to like late Gen Z, early millennial, that kind of vibe between, I'll throw it to like a 25 and up, maybe 20 and up, depending on like your siblings, if you had different siblings at different ages. We grew up with the internet. Like I'm at an age, I remember when Gmail was created. That makes me sound ancient, but like hell, the iPhone came out in 2007. Like I remember when all these things were happening and we were just going with the flow, whereas the kids now, they are growing, like they're in it already at birth. Their digital life and their digital footprint basically starts when they're born, whereas for us, it kind of started around the 15, the 20, because everything, like our whole life wasn't documented. If it was, it's just gone right now, but we grew with the social media, but now it's all there front and ready for these kids to go. Like their digital life doesn't start at 15 like ours did. Theirs starts at birth. Profiles get built, data gets collected, and over time that turns into a digital footprint that follows them for life, well before they even understand what any of this means. Again, most of us never chose this. We just made an email and went with the flow, and we trusted everything to be secure, and we know that's not the case. So it's time to be proactive, and today's dream sponsor, Proton Mail, can help us all with that. It's an email service that's built around privacy first. No ads, no tracking, no profiling. Your inbox is actually yours. And here's the important part, only you can read your email, not even Proton Mail. It uses end-to-end and zero access encryption, so your messages stay private and your inbox isn't scanned, accessed, or monetized like the rest of us out there. So instead of your data or even your child's being constantly collected and used to build a digital footprint and profile over time, you can actually take control of this from the start. With Proton Mail, you're not being tracked, not being shaped by ads, not being followed around the internet for life. And honestly, again, that's something that most of us never had. We didn't get to experience all the new tools with this new digital life that are there to help us stay protected and secure and private. Most of us out there, we just adapted to the system as is, but we don't have to do that anymore. So if you actually and personally care about where the internet is going and where all this privacy and security is headed, and you want to give yourself or hell even your family and your kids a fresh start, check out Proton Mail for free by tapping the link below or scanning the QR code here on the screen.
Kids today seem like they're skipping their preteen and teenage years.
Yes.
And in my last video, I talk about how people are complaining that there are so many of these young kids in Sephora. And
when I learned about the Sephora kids, I had no idea. Like, I knew kids were into makeup, but to me, when I was growing up, it was like the cheap makeup to play around with. You're learning, you're not wasting it. Now it's like these kids are literally in Sephora. They're online posting beauty reviews and tutorials. It's like, again, we did it too, but it wasn't, we were just doing it for the purpose to share to our friends. It wasn't for this purpose. The intent's different because now people are posting with the intent to become an influencer, to become famous, when our intent for posting online was literally just to show our friends what we're doing. I remember we would upload full ass, we would go through the night, y'all. I'm telling this like I'm that old. This is crazy, but I know a lot of y'all relate to this too. We're documenting the whole night, the whole day. Here's us at the mall. Here's a party. Here's this and that. We would go home, plug in our camera to the computer, and hit upload. We weren't scanning pictures. We just upload the whole thing. Upload the whole camera roll. This was the night. It was that authentic. It was that real. And so I do think the intent behind posting online it's definitely changed. But yeah, I was very surprised when I learned about the Sephora kids and that whole ordeal.
Last time I was in Ulta, there were very few people over the age of, say, 15. But we need to ask ourselves as a society why this is happening. And this person says in their mall, there's a bunch of preteen places, but in my mall, there is absolutely not. There's one Claire's, and the prices in there are so astronomical. How would a teenager be able to afford anything in there? And how would their parents be able to give them any money to afford a $30 pair of earrings in a place like Claire's that sells plastic bullshit? It's not cute or cool to be a preteen anymore. There is nothing marketed to these girls.
Nothing. And it's funny too that she points out little girls because there is this split between young men and young women, like the little boys, little girls, because little boys, they seem very consistent in that they're like gaming, they're playing sports, they're outside. Nothing's that deep. It is like a slow transition from, I mean, men, we're pretty consistent. I mean, it is literally little boy to like adolescent, like kid, middle school, high school, growing up. There's not a drastic change, so to say. We're all pretty much the same. Whereas for women, it does seem like there's like the little girl, it used to be the tween, then the teenager, then the young adult. But like now they're going to like Abercrombie, which we went to Hollister and Abercrombie too. But I'm just saying, how like the tween spaces, like the Claire's, Limited 2, all that just doesn't exist anymore. And I think because one, people do see it as cringe, but then you add in again that layer of social media and these damn phones. The parents are right. Put that damn, it's them phones. The phone, they don't want to be caught looking off. They always want to be looking good because everything that they're going to be doing is they know their lives are being documented and posted online, which is a crazy concept to think about, especially if you're a child growing up.
This generation is not being raised off of Cartoon Network, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. Cartoons that used to inspire creativity in the young mind. No, they're being raised off of
iPads and TikTok. They are finished.
They're not gonna know about Kids Next Door. They're not gonna know about Foster Home for Imaginary Friends. They're not gonna know what iCarly is. Drake and Josh. That's So Raven. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
This is what I mean when I was referring to like this shared culture, like this shared childhood. And even for me growing up, I saw the decline because I feel like my sister, she's older, she's 89. I feel like she had it better. That's when you lean into even more of the Disney Channel original movies. I remember 13. I remember this one where it's like this kid was going through puberty and he was a merman or something. I don't know. I will find it. I remember shows like that. Degrassi, which some can argue like it was, depending on the grade you're in, it was kind of age appropriate. But none of this exists. There's no shared jingles. There's no nothing. And I feel so bad for them.
Photo Drama Island. Adventure
that show
Time.
was crazy.
Gumball. Uncle Graham. Never mind. We're gonna.
Uncle
They don't need to
Grandpa's
see Uncle Grandpa.
wild.
No one needs to see Uncle Grandpa. But you get what I'm saying. It was sad to see Cartoon Network get canceled. And you know, kids of today, they probably don't even care. They're just like, yeah, so and what? You know what I'm saying? Make room for that Love Island. And I mean, maybe they don't have cartoons.
I remember I saw an interview of this NBA player. He was asking the kid, like, what cartoons do you watch? And he was like, what? And the kid was like, what are you talking about?
Hey, what's your favorite cartoon?
YouTube. I watch YouTube.
No, cartoon.
Cartoon?
Mm-hmm. You don't watch cartoons?
What are cartoons?
Damn, what? I'm not that old.
Is it like when they have ads?
What? You ain't never seen Tom and Jerry? Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. Hey Arnold, you ain't never seen Disney Channel?
It's sad, and it does get me thinking about how there's no childhood anymore. You know what I mean? Like, we're going through this video, there's no core like, this is for 7 to 12. Here you go. This is like what the average 7 to 12-year-old is doing and can relate to across the United States. That's just not a thing anymore. It's all just like streamers, gamers, influencers. The whole landscape's completely different. When the whole time, these shows were very important. Those Disney Channel original movies were very important. These shows and these movies really did help teenagers and preteens go through life and understand different things and learn about morals and ethics. And now, it's just gone. And it really makes you think, like, with this digital life, damn, will there ever be a pure childhood anymore?
The reason why a lot of the kids think 25 and 28 is old now is because of the elimination of tween spaces. Because when we were tweens, right, there was this, it was, kid, tween, teen, young adult, because it was all of these like milestones, I should say, to adulthood. We didn't necessarily look at 18-year-olds as adults.
I know I didn't. I remember my sister, because my sister's 6 years older than me. Even when she was in college, I didn't look at her like an adult. I looked at her like, oh, she's a young adult in college. Like, she's a college girl. Like, I didn't look at her like, I don't know, an adult. And I feel like nowadays, especially everybody being called Unc, people call me Unc. I'm like, whatever. I'm 30. I am an uncle. It is what it is. Even then, it's like, I'm still young. If we said the average lifespan's up to 80, I have another 50 years. 30s, much still young. The 30s, it's fun to be lit, honestly. I'm excited for the 30s, but I have noticed that, like, now the young kids, they see anyone between like, oh, you're 26, ooh, you're old, damn Unc, like, it's boomer, when that's not the case at all. And it's because of how all these different milestones are gone. Because how she said it used to go from like kid, tween, teen, young adult, all that's gone. Now it's just kid, pretty much adult. Everybody trying to be grown. You maxed out when you're like 20. And then you're sitting here looking at your life like, damn, there's nothing to look forward to. Yes, there is, but you're too busy trying to be grown. Just live.
We look at them as bigger versions of ourselves, but now because these in-between stages don't exist, young people view 18 as an adult. Legally, they know it's an adult, right? But without all the nuance of childhood, teen spaces, right, and ideologies and media to crystallize that as an actual idea, 18 is an adult. Does that make sense? Am I talking right?
I feel the same way, because sometimes I'd be like, does this make any sense to y'all, what I'm trying to say? And it does. I'm thankful for this channel. I'm glad y'all be vibing and we get it. But it is interesting and weird how all the spaces are gone. And I keep saying back in the day, it was back in the day, Amir. Back in the day, late 90s, early 2000s, it was a very clear distinction of, that's a kid, that's a tween, that's a teenager, that's a young adult, that's an adult. Like, it was very clear. And now it's just gone.
All you know is childhood and then adulthood.
Yeah.
18 looks old. So anything beyond 18, you're gonna be like, you're fucking old. Because there's no set of behaviors or ideologies or spaces or media to crystallize the concept of teenhood or tweenhood, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they think that 25-year-olds are old. Because to them, 18 is an adult. Behaviors that they associate with 18 now is adulthood. right? Jobs, career paths, college, that's adult to them.
When that shouldn't be the case. I get 18, you're an adult, but at 18, you should still be allowed to figure out your life. You don't need to have it all pieced together. You don't have to be grown. You can still be figuring things out. You can still be stupid. You can still take big risks. Like, you can do that. That's fine.
But for us, because we were kids, looking up to teenagers, looking forward to teenhood, right? Being a high schooler, going to parties, having that dress, having that look, having our independence was a different mindset, right? So that's why they think that 25 is old.
The different mindset. It goes back to the mindset and what I was talking about earlier in the other video with the intent of why we were posting online. Our entire mindset was different. It's completely different than an 18-year-old in 2005. Like, completely different. Hell, even 2014, 2013. Completely different versions of mindsets of people. And honestly, we see this dating back to even the 1950s and 1960s when you did have younger kids, but they were more grown. Like, half of us out here right now, we got grandparents who were having kids and they were like 13, 14, 15, going to war, 17, 18. Like, these were things happening way back in the day. And we see as time goes on, but I feel like it's been a sharper contrast ever since the start of the internet of like the mindset of an 18-year-old, and it's changed.
Because you've been an adult for almost 10 years at that point to them. But when we were growing up, we didn't see that way. That's why we look at 18-year-olds as babies, right?
Yeah.
Because we were exposed to so much tween and teen media. So we knew that was still really relatively childhood. We watched everyone be 18 and grow into adults, right? The media about coming of age, right? That doesn't really exist anymore. The way we view adulthood or teenhood, the way they view adulthood and teenhood is not the same thing.
Yeah.
So now everyone is old to them. Which, when you think about it, is the way that it was beforehand. That's why when you go back in time and you look at pictures of your parents at 25, they look old. They look 30, 40 because they were shoved into adulthood. The world is going backwards.
I was just saying this. That's crazy. But literally, it's just everything's changing and it's getting weird and everything's going backwards. Back in the day, 1825 was old as hell because you had to be old. You were grown. You were working, providing for the family. And then it went to like, all right, kids, you're able to be a kid. You're able to just be a tween. You're able to be a tween. You're able to just like live. To now, we reverted back to this idea that you have to have it all be grown and be put together because of social media now, essentially. It's why at the beginning of this video, I said Gen Z might be the last generation to actually have a childhood because it's literally just from kids to adult. There's none of these extra milestones. They're all pretty much gone because it seems like all these milestones that we used to have growing up just doesn't exist anymore.
The latest content house blowing up on social media right now is made up of 8 to 12-year-old girls that have tens of millions of subscribers called the Sweet Sisterhood. Some people are saying this is disgusting, especially with everything that just came to light with Piper Raquel, which Netflix just made a whole documentary about. It was a group of kid influencers who were getting abused by their parents.
And then that's the one that now has an OF and...
In just a few days after launching the Sweet Sisterhood, these girls racked up over 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, 37,000 on Instagram, and 32,000 on TikTok. And you know what? Good for them. Problem is that a lot of time kid influencers don't see profits because their parents are in charge. Or they don't even want to make videos, but they're forced into it for the views and the money. It's actually gotten so out of hand that in January, California had to put a new law into effect that requires creators to put aside earnings into a trust fund for the kids. So is it okay to put kids in content and make profit off of it? That's a question only parents can decide.
Okay, there's two ways I look at this idea of like Gen Alpha influencers, kid influencers. One end, I'd much rather them just be living a kid life, playing around with your friends in the local neighborhood, being outside, just focused on that. On the other end, that's no different than a Miley Cyrus, a Zendaya, a Bella Thorne. It's no different than other childhood stars. All the kids we ever saw, Wizards of Waverly Place, Miranda Cosgrove. You think about iCarly. It's a Twitch show, honestly. Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, those were kid influencers, childhood actors. If you really want to go there, you could say there's no difference between the Amanda Show and a content house with different kids in there, with different skits and them doing different things. The intent at bare bones is pretty much the same. You have a TV show that's trying to get eyes and selling to advertisers so they can have sponsorships and live a good life, and that's what the influencers are doing. But then you have the negative aspects of it, which they both have huge negative aspects of it now that I'm thinking about it, of like the childhood actors that just go off the deep end because of the very corrupt people that they were around. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. The very corrupt people that the childhood actors in Disney, Nickelodeon, that they were structurally had to be around. The producers, the casting directors, right? We had that versus a content house filled with children that has their parents who they can be bad, but like they have the control. It's all just, you see how things are so different, you guys? Because I'd much rather parents be in control than a corrupt industry, but even the parents can be corrupt. So yeah, it is split on the whole childhood actor thing and how kids become famous and the damage it can do, but the greatness that it can do. I mean, it produces great people like the Justin Bieber, like the Zendayas. It gets very interesting, and I feel like we definitely did open up a can of worms that we can leave for part 2 in this video, so be sure to subscribe. And this isn't to say that just because Gen Z was the last to have the childhood that we had, that this means everything that's happening now is bad, but it is to say that it's extremely different and based, I mean, is it bad? Based off of some teens' behavior, some teens' aspiration, the depression rates, the anxiety rates. Maybe everything, all of this is just more worse off for the children. And majority of it does go back to social media. Because yeah, we have the Quenlin Blackwells, the Amber Chamberlains, the Piper Rokells. We have all these, you know, late Gen Z, Gen Alpha people that were kid influencers and they're growing up and now they're like famous. They built a life for themselves comparable to a Zendaya, a Miley Cyrus, a Justin Bieber. How healthy is that? Is any of it healthy? Not really, because I mean, Justin Bieber went through shit. Miley went through shit. I don't know. But what we do know is that we control the controllable. And I feel like there are still things that we could be doing as parents, as uncles, as aunts, as someone who's young Gen Z, even Gen Alpha, that can help maintain a child's innocence and have them grow up slowly to not view 18 as like the end all be all, you're an adult, like the world's over. No, you can still dream and create and have aspirations, and you don't have to live this life online. You don't have to. I know the times are changing, but I also can't help but think about how fun all the phases of life that I went through. I mean, yeah, I had some really, really hard times, but if I'm gonna be generalizing it I'm gonna just go for like the 90s up to like 2005, it was lit. It was really, really fun. And it had a lot of great media to look up to. A lot of the TV events was lit. I'll never forget when Foster's Imaginary Home premiered. Like, that was like a big deal. And I remember YouTube was like memes. It was Charlie bit my finger and like Charlotte takes a tumble and Fred. It was silly stuff. But now it's whole productions, which is cool. But like I wish we had something for the tweens. And this decrease in the tweens in the preteen phase is something I've definitely noticed. And I was looking up and researching. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is definitely a thing that's happening. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you have a tween or do you feel like as a parent, they don't have what we had when we were kids? And do you feel like it's very different and hard to navigate this online world? And I also want to hear from varying ages in the 20s too. Do you feel like you've seen this change too, and how like there's a disappearance of the tween phase? Did you have one? Did you not? Let me know. But outside of this video, what I'm about to say has nothing to do with this topic. I just hope you know that whatever the hell you're going through right now, you're gonna make it through. It's called going through for a reason. You're not stuck there. This is just a season in your life. Listen, shit could be hitting the fan. Work, relationship, friendship, family drama. I don't know. I don't know what you have going on in your life right now, but I do know you're not too weak for this. I do know whatever is put in front of you in your life, you can and will go through it. You just have to believe in yourself, and I believe in you. But sometimes people need a reminder to hear that and just know you're good. It's hard. I know sometimes you cry. Sometimes you're super stressed out. Sometimes you're overwhelmed. I get it, but you're going to be okay. Just know that. I'm not saying ignore the hell what you're going through, but I'm saying at least process it, acknowledge it, understand it's not forever. That's it. The pain that you're feeling right now, the anxiety, the depression, like whatever it is that you're going through right now, feel that, process it, but also acknowledge it's not forever and things can and will change. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and comments below. Be sure to subscribe to always stay updated on my content, and I'll catch you in the next video. Deuces.